Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. Carlos Takam versus Tony Yoka. Now, when this was announced, I thought my immediate reaction was Yoka on points, because I thought Takam, he's 42 years old. He's coming off back-to-back defeats. He got stopped in 6 by Joe Joyce, and Arslanbek Makhmudov outpointed him in Canada last year, back into last year, I think it was September, 10 rounds. Takam won a couple of rounds in that fight. Makhmudov is a threat. I mean, I think he's 16-0 now with 15 KOs. So to go the distance is good. But Tony Yoka, it's in Paris. It's a bit of a local derby. Probably Yoka's going to outpoint the old fella, the old warhorse. But I thought this is an interesting fight, because if this was a younger version of Takam, I'd probably pick him to win. Well, in actual fact, he did win. He did win. And he won deservedly so. It was a split decision. It shouldn't have been, should have been unanimous. I have never been taken with Yoka. I've always thought he is it looks to me like he's never shaken off the amateur style. I thought he lost to Joe Joyce in the Olympic final anyway. What has he had now? 12, 13 fights since turning pro. There's no momentum. Last time out, he lost to Bacoli and was on the floor, and it looked to me like I don't even know whether this guy wants to be a boxer, whether he wants to be a fighter. I've heard he's had out of the ring issues, divorce and all this sort of thing, which never helps. But, you got to, if you're a professional, that's part of being a professional, soaking up the bad stuff and compartmentalising your life and concentrating on your craft. And Yoka, it seems to me, doesn't seem to have a great deal of desire or motivation for the game, and that's what it looked like in this fight, because Takam at 42, first couple of rounds, Yoka was doing his thing. He was jabbing, but he just doesn't fire enough punches, and Takam was throwing his usual huge hooks. He's such an intimidating looking sod. I mean, he's built like a block of marble. And he was just moving forward, doing what he's always done in his career. Big wide hooks. Some of them were landing. He was whacking to the body as well. And Yoka was too upright, too amateurish. Uses his feet a lot, but is always so far out of range. It's not like he's on the periphery of the range and he looks to counter. He just jabs, moves a lot, tries to use the ring. There doesn't seem to be any imagination there. There doesn't seem to be any putting together of the different parts or different skills into some sort of cohesive style. And I just thought Takam was the one forcing the fight, landing the meaningful punches, landing the heavier punches. He didn't have any problem landing on Yoka's head, even though he was a shorter man. Yoka, who had a very high guard, was soaking up a lot of punches, taking a lot of punches on the gloves, but even so, enough were getting through for me as anyway to consider that Carlos Takam was actually picking up these rounds. And this is the way it went for the whole fight. I mean, I say that. I mean, like I say, he just didn't fire enough punches, Yoka. And in the second half of the fight, it's a 10-rounder, Takam began to pull away. And Yoka occasionally would fire like a good jab or a good individual punch and would catch Takam. He wasn't hurting him. But you thought, if only he'd do more of that. If only he'd get that style together, if only he'd let his hands go more. Just do something. And at the end of the fight, I mean, Yoka put his hand in the air as if to say, I've won. No, you haven't, mate. I mean, he was walking around the ring. He had a cut eyelid quite early in the fight. Third round, fourth round? I want to say third or fourth round. I might be wrong about that. But it wasn't a major cut. But nevertheless, it didn't do him any favours. Never does it, if you cut? And he's walking around, but he looked so forlorn during the fight. He looked like he didn't have any sort of ideas. His body language wasn't good between rounds in the corner. Whereas Takam, the old warhorse, like I say, I know the heavyweights last longer, but 42. He's only 6 foot 1, 6 foot 2. This guy, but a real threat. And stylistically, he's kind of like Derek Chisora type, isn't he? He's a sort of gatekeeper type. And he moved to, 40 wins. He's got 7 defeats and 4 of them by stoppage and a draw's thrown in there somewhere. But, he ain't going away. He's a tough night's work even now for anyone, as Tony Yoka found out. And since getting flattened by Chisora, I mean, Takam's now beaten Yoka. He's got a win over Senad Gashi, who only had one defeat at the time. He's beaten Jerry Forrest. That's not too bad a win. That was on points. He's a tough night for anyone. So yeah, and he'll fight anyone. Have gloves will travel. He is a gatekeeper type, not a journeyman. Not a journeyman. You've got to be world class to beat this guy. But I like Takam, and I hope he gets a few paydays. As for Yoka, he's got to decide: do you want to be a fighter or not? Do you really want to do something with your career? Because he's 30 now, Takam. And after the fight, he was, walking around the ring with his hands in the air, and people were booing. They've had enough. No, you got to produce now. You won the Olympic medal. Now show us something. And during the split decision announcement, people applauded the two Takam scores and booed the one that was 96-94 for Yoka. I don't know how the judge got that, but 96-94 was the other one the first one to Takam. I don't know what the decider was. Was it 96-94? I had it 97-93 to Takam, but yeah. Anyway, what did you think? Did you see this fight? What do you think about Yoka? Is he going anywhere? Should he quit now if he doesn't want to be a fighter? What about Takam? Who would you put him in with next as a test? Let me know your comments. I always like reading them. Thanks for your time. Like the video if you liked it, and of course subscribe to the channel. That would be a fantastic help. Many thanks for that. And yeah, we'll speak again soon. Until then, bye bye for now.